Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Talk Shows. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The View co-host Anna Navarro called out a producer of the show for being cheap and admitted that she's a bit of a bully sometimes. This conversation occurred on the Shows Behind the Table podcast. Continue reading to see what prompted these comments from Anna. The View set is falling apart behind the scenes. To start the podcast on Friday, producer Brian Tedda revealed to listeners that the set of The View had actually just started falling apart. Pandemonium is breaking loose here in the podcast studio. The set just collapsed behind us, almost hit me, he told listeners. He added that Anna didn't even flinch, despite pieces of the studio collapsing. Brian then joked that he didn't understand why things were falling apart the way they were. The View is an extremely successful talk show, and they have plenty of budget. Brian then made the mistake of asking Anna Navarro why she thought the studio was falling apart, and she had a quick answer. "I think you're cheap," she responded. Anna continued, "You need to spend more money. We have these panels that are barely hanging on for dear life." Later on in the episode, Anna came up with a scenario about publishing a book. She asked Brian if he would have to review it before she published it. He agreed that he would, in fact, have to look at it first. "Is that part of my contract?" she asked. To which Brian Tedda laughed and stated that he'd have to check her contract. "Every time you're here, I have to have the contract out so I could take a look," he said. Producer Brian Tedda targeted during the podcast. It seemed like Brian Tedda is regularly a target on the podcast. On Friday's episode, Anna Navarro told him, "The only reason I agree to do this podcast is because I get to bully you. I think that's why Joy Behar does it too." The episode before Friday's featured another co-host from The View, Sunny Hostin. During a conversation, Brian talked about how he often has to yell at the hosts of the daytime talk show to stick to their allotted time. Sunny was quick to respond saying, "I don't like when you play the music. I think it's rude." Brian Tedda often has to start playing music to cut away to a commercial break, even though the hosts are continuing their conversation. She continued by saying that she didn't feel like someone as prestigious as her fellow co-host Whoopi Goldberg should be cut off. "Whoopi is an EGOT, and you're playing her off like it's the Oscars," she said. "Rude." Brian simply laughed and asked what else was he supposed to do when it was time to go to break. "I could get a siren," he laughed. For more news about The View,